Man, every time he cries makes me want to cry. Hey everybody, it's me, Rosalie. Welcome back to the Ultimate World Music and Psychology channel. It is about high time that we check out more of Ren's music. Let's check out his song For Joe, his live performance video, which is a song in honor of his friend who lost his life to suicide. So I have a feeling it's going to be deep, but let's listen and let's talk about it. Here we go. Oh, and subscribe. I'll start over. There are so many details to what this man does. Some of it may be unintentional, okay, but I pick these things up and I interpret them. Things like the glass bottle with the light in it, okay? A beautiful touch aesthetically to set the tone with the beautiful backdrop, the piano, him sitting there. It's a stripped down version. It's down to the bones, right? There's not a whole orchestra. There's not a whole band. It is intimate. It's personal. Starting with piano sets the tone to me of a ballad, of something that is somber and reflective, right? We're not coming in with a bunch of rhythmic elements that get us excited and, correlate to our heart beating, right? We're literally kept alive by rhythm. We're not coming in with a full ensemble of so many different elements that our brain has to now focus on and decipher, right? A level of distraction at times because it gets us wanting to dance or feel the music. Let me start over. Taking deep breaths. He's so talented. All these instruments he plays.
It's hard to take off from the ground when your wings are cut. Your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup.
Ooh.
You know the entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. I guess there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness, hatchet job. I locked my youth inside the trunk, inside the pickup truck, then dumped that whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped. I think about that sometimes, vividly. What it felt like to look down and see tranquility. One sudden movement in a world of possibility. Only one movement to expose our fragility. I fucking miss you, and I miss myself. I miss thinking we were indestructible as hell. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Justin, Sega, Stevie and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call them up. Distance is my plaster cast, to tell the truth. The day you jumped, my childhood jumped too. But I still can't find the anger. All I find is missing you, man, I miss you. With all my rhymes, I picture running 5 minutes quicker, I'm right on time. I picture pulling you back over the edge and then we're crying. And holding you, my brother, and telling you that it's fine, not the way that it worked. I was late like a jerk, there's not a day where I can find a way to break from the hurt. Your body missing, so we never got to wave to the hearse. I hope you're listening, I love you, man, I miss you, absurd, fuck. Another domino, it falls. across the way another's born. How you're supposed to raise a child and give it courage from a storm. In a world that is confusing, contradictions pave our flaws. Some will say we're only human, others judge us for our flaws. Some get born in sheets of satin, some get by in tattered clothes. Some will die before they live, that's just how the story goes. But for those of us still with us, who reside inside our hearts, tell them proudly how you feel. And for those of us who aren't, freckled angels stand strong, freckled angels live on, freckled angels climb higher, freckled angels still inspire. Freckled angels won't forget you, teach me to live my life better. 13 years and still I miss you, now my wings are missing feather. Otherwise I'd come and join you, but for now I'm here on earth, stuck inside this mortal body. But for everything it's worth, made me braver, made me wiser, made me stronger, made me true, made me face the world with courage, and that's all because of you. Freckled angels laugh the hardest, and their hearts, they are the largest. With their wings, they fly the farthest. So I know you're gonna be okay. Freckled angels live the longest, and their minds, they are the strongest. Oh, their friends, they are the fondest. So I know you're gonna be okay.
Man, every time he cries makes me want to cry. That part, okay, slow down. The part he starts with was the outro, if you will, of his song Suicide, right? He had added that, and now it's the beginning of his song for Joe, where he included that at the end of Suicide, and it's so beautifully fits with what he's doing here in this beautiful tribute to Joe, for Joe, his friend, but then also ending with the chorus, the lines from his song Freckled Angels. Okay, I took some notes because there's just so much. I'm telling you, I'm so amazed at his skill. He's a multi-instrumentalist, and I'm just so amazed how well he plays all these different instruments. I love the notes and the progression he chose here. You know, different notes and melodies have different impacts on us, and I've said this in other videos, but some of it is nature versus nurture. Some of it is, influenced by the nurture, right? How we were raised, the influences we experienced in our society, in our culture, in our upbringing. Some of it may be nature, right? Inherent in us, right? Our biological makeup of how we as human beings perceive things. But one may argue a lot of it is nurture because it varies, right? You go to a different country and minor notes may be used in their music for happy feelings and happy emotions. Here in the West, we may be more prone to use minor notes when we're trying to convey sadness or grief or frustration. But either way, regardless of the culture, our upbringing, different melodies impact us in different ways. And for him to hear, like I said earlier, have this stripped down version on the piano, for him to play these different chords in this note progression, the crescendo and the dynamic build up as he kept playing were so fitting emotionally to the pain and the grief. And as we process loss, as we process heavy topics such as this, as suicide, as death, as life, as trying to make the best of it and live on and honor someone's memory and legacy, there are many different emotions involved. It's not a linear path, just as much as grief isn't linear. And so the composition, the melody, and the notes he chose, and the build up and the dynamics of his piano playing was so fitting to that journey, those emotions we feel. I love his voice and how strong the vibrato and the texture of his voice was showcased here. This was one of those songs of his, is one of those songs where I feel like you can really tell Ren is an old soul, but he also has one of those classic timeless voices. There's been a few songs I've listened to by him where I thought, man, he would do so well with some of those Frank Sinatra and some of those old school amazing classics, just because of the texture of his voice and the sound, the warmth, the vibrato, that rasp. He just has such a unique voice, and it's amazing to me. And what I feel makes him so unique is that he keeps bringing a new facet, a new aspect to his different songs. We'll have the rap, we have a little bit heavier on the rock, we have touches of reggae in Murderer, we have, him being feisty and playful and tackling heavy topics and being provocative and rebellious. We have the things that make us cry, the things that make us jump for joy. We have the songs that have us pondering life and existence and the duality between light and dark. Hashtag hi Ren, right? Check out my reaction to that if you're interested. It just, I keep seeing these various facets of this artist and of him as a human being, and I find it very profound. Even some of the notes and some of the changes he did almost had this reminded me of what some of the Arabic singers do with their Arabic quarter notes, right? This connotation and this quick fluctuation between notes that he was doing in the beginning during his vocalization. Phenomenal, artistic, profound, and beautiful. Like I said earlier, even the lights in that bottle to me may have had no meaning on his end or whoever was helping him set up the background. But to me, it's just fitting because you have this light chain. You have something that implies warmth and hope that illuminates the environment, but it's bottled up. And I feel like our feelings often work that way, right? There's hope within us. There's that shimmer, but it's bottled up. We keep it locked inside, right? And I feel like that's fitting for grief too. We can see grief, we can see sadness, but part of us still holds it down. We still kind of contain it because if we were to just shatter the glass, it would be everywhere. It's just symbolic to me, even though maybe it wasn't intentional. Some of the lyrics here are so profound about speaking about when his friend jumped, right? When he committed suicide. Ren expresses that his childhood jumped too, right? So when we deal with death, when we come face to face with the loss of a loved one, something changes. We have to grow up. The child in us dies. We a lot of times children will their children or young people or humans will lose their innocence, a level of that an aspect of childhood when we come face to face, right? As children, we don't think about death much. We may talk about it, think about it a little, depending on the child, but then we move on and play, right? As in our youth, we may think about death every so often, but we feel immortal, right? We're focused on life and fun and adventure to a degree, depending on who you are, where you come from, of course, or your life circumstances. But the older we get, the more we're exposed to other people dying and getting sick and being mortal, the more that innocence, that youth fades. And we're forced to grow up. The way he's vocalizing, even when he says burn on, there's this, I feel like you can hear the grief. It's profound, it's emotional. The words burn on, there may be more context here that I'm missing, especially if he's using pieces of other songs like Freckled Angels. But to me, burn on, it fits with that idea of the lights, right? In that bottle on the keyboard, this idea of you keep someone's memory alive, you keep their legacy going, you also pleading with others to keep living their life, to burn on, right? Maybe this plea for himself and the rest of us that are still here to burn on, not to give up, not to give up on life, but also maybe this nod to those who have gone away, those we have lost, someone like Joe, to burn on, as in, you keep that light going. You know how you light candles for someone that passes away, we light a candle when we say a prayer for someone in remembrance of someone. So there's this element to me, this connection to keeping that candle burning, keeping their legacy burning. This way of maybe saying rest in peace, right? Keep resting, but also for us to keep going. And then later it says in the lyrics, he also speaks of dominoes, which I find interesting because Ren has another song called Dominoes, and it's also a very powerful song. But here it speaks of another domino falls across the way. Another domino, it falls across the way, another's born. How are you supposed to raise a child and give it courage from a storm? This idea of dominoes, of one domino falling and affecting the rest of the dominoes, the cause and effect here of the way that our lives impact others, the way that our actions have consequences, both in a sad way, right? Joe committing suicide left a huge hole and so much pain in Ren and in Joe's parents and in his friends and the circle of friends. It's a very fitting picture to paint through lyrics. The things we do, regardless if it's in life or in death, have an impact on those we leave behind, on ourselves. That's why I keep saying in my videos, choose life, right? Not just in the sense of choose life, choose to live, but also in the way that we speak and what we listen to, who we surround ourselves with, right? The things we fill our mind and our heart and our bodies with have an impact. There's a consequence. Every yes to one thing is a no to something else, and vice versa. And so this domino effect here in the lyrics is just fitting to this whole topic of grief. When we think of death and life, right? People leaving, new life is born. It's just so, the lyrics are so rich in meaning and in depth. How are you supposed to raise a child and give it courage from the storm? To me is also a nod to Joe's parents, communicating what they must have felt like, the pain of losing a child. And I think somewhere there was this somewhere in the lyrics, I don't remember where right now, it spoke of some die before they're born, or some are gone before they're even born. And that made me think of even a personal experience of losing a child before her time, before she was even supposed to be born. And there's so many dynamics when it comes to life and death. We lose people before they are even born, at birth. We lose people young in childhood and youth, in adolescent years. We lose people who have lived a long, full life. We lose people who die too young and we feel like it was not their time. They're gone too soon. We lose those and grieve for those who did have a full life, who where one could say, okay, they've lived their life to the fullest, and still it hurts. Still we want to continue their legacy, and we want to remember them, and we grieve for what was. When it comes to life and death, there's so many aspects. But to address the pain and the questions of a parent that loses a child, to address that struggle as a parent, to say, how are you supposed to raise a child and protect them, give them courage from the storm, right? As parents, there must be this immense pain to feel like, how can I protect my children from the worst? How can I protect them from life's storms? How can I give them courage? I feel like it's such a beautiful and compassionate way of integrating also the questions a parent would ask. I think because he also had the chance to sing this song, to perform this song even in front of Joe's parents. And I think that that's so powerful and beautiful, to address the unique pain a parent would feel when losing a child. Some will say we're only human, others judge us for our flaws. And that also is powerful, right? That duality. Some people that understand, we're just humans, they understand the plight that comes with that. Others judge the same human for the flaws and the mistakes. And when we think of topics like suicide, like death, you have different opinions like that. You have those who understand that that's part of the human plight, and you have those who judge it and say, oh, how could they have left? How could they have? Why didn't they fight their depression or their struggle? And it's often a both and conversation, both the grief but also the bitterness or the hurt or the frustration, the confusion, the questions we're left with. Just so many stories when it comes to death and life. And then he sings, freckled angels stand strong, freckled angels live on, freckled angels climb higher, freckled angels still inspire, freckled angels won't forget you, teach me to live my life better. 13 years and I still miss you. My wings are missing feather. Otherwise I'd come and join you, but for now I'm here on earth, stuck inside this mortal body. But for everything it's worth, made me braver, made me wiser, made me strong, made me true, made me face the world with courage, and that's all because of you. Wow. Boah. So powerful to work through that pain, and it still hurts after so many years, but still to honor his friend in such a beautiful way, to say, I wish I could join you, right? I would join you, but for now I'm still here. And to then say, you know what, I'm going to not remember you with bitterness and how could you have left us, right? There is that pain. There is the wishing he could have saved him, right? He's expressed that even in his lyrics. I wish I could have saved you. I wish I would have gotten there just a few seconds sooner. And everyone has shared that, right? That pain of feeling like he should have saved his friend, working through that grief, missing his friend, honoring Joe's parents through those lyrics even, and the pain that a parent feels, the pressure of wanting to do right by your child, the questions we're left with when our children face pain and struggle, but then still honoring his friend by saying, it made me braver and wiser, made me strong and made me true. It made me face the world with courage. And I think that too fits well with this idea of burn on, both this idea perhaps of saying we got to keep choosing life, we got to burn on, we got to face the world with courage, right? The thing that parents long to instill in their children, the thing that we have to work through, those storms we have to go through. In the hospital, there was a quote on the wall, a wall filled with quotes. And the one that stood out to me said something like this: every storm eventually runs out of rain. And I think that's so beautiful, this encouragement for us to burn on, this encouragement for us to face the world with courage, to choose life. And to honor those who've come before us, those who've gone before us, to live their legacy on, to cherish their memory, to honor them, and to say, I'm going to keep facing the world with courage. Yeah, it's beautiful. That was a beautiful, powerful, powerful song, masterfully done, as Ren does. What did you think? I'm not going to go through all the lyrics because it's your turn now. I would like to hear which part of the lyrics stood out to you the most and why. So comment away, comment below, and make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next ride. Ayo! Ayo!